Hiya guys, it's Ross here. So another product review. I know I've done a couple product reviews so far, chipping fluid, things like that. I thought I'd talk about the Masters brush cleaner. So you might have seen this pot kicking around on Facebook, Instagram, things like that, and people rave about this stuff all the time. I do have some decent brushes these days to look after. So if I don't look after them, I will get beaten. So these are Winsor & Newton Series 7. Can thoroughly recommend these things. I know they're not cheap. I think it's about 40 quid if you're lucky for a pack of 4, but they are amazing. So, you know, they are pretty durable. They're like the Royal Marines of the brush world. So if you wanted to, like, use typhus corrosion, there's a few people crying now on the internet because I mentioned typhus corrosion and Series 7 in the same sentence. You can do that, they're pretty durable. Don't do it if you can help it. Use some old knackered brushes, like this old Citadel brush that I didn't even realise I had. And this one is just a generic brush from a, look how dead that is. Generic brush from just a regular hobby store, which was years ago, so I have no idea where I got it from. They're cheap, nasty. So this stuff, my Series 7 isn't in a bad enough state. You'd be glad to know to use it. But it will restore. Obviously, the more you spend on a brush, the better it will be. And it will restore those quite nicely and keep them up to date. So I will show you what I mean. I'll just grab a random one from the pot. So nice and clean. Take that away so you can focus better. So nice and clean. I mean, I could use it on a clean brush, there's no point. You can still see a little bit of the brush restore in there, glistening away, so I'll wash that out. I do protect them, I do look after them, so there's no point in me using that in a video and showing you how to keep a clean brush clean. So let's see what we can do with a semi-knackered GW. Look how much paint's on the brush. So when you first start out, you abuse your brushes. We all do. You're not supposed to get them on this bit at all. You're supposed to just get paint on like the first, like maybe quarter, but you get it all the way up in the ferrule, right up inside, which is no good. So this stuff, fairly straightforward. There is some destructions on the back, if you can see that at all. So it's pretty basic pictures. So just rinse, water, scrub in this stuff, rinse off, rinse again. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll put my pot of water slightly closer. So make sure you're using clean water. Take the lid off. So I've got a clean brush now, apparently, but still it is pretty knackered. So I'm just going to run it around in here with a moist brush, get a little bit wetter if I may, and just really scrub it and get it in there initially. And obviously if it doesn't do it first time, you can rinse and repeat. Just really scrub it and splaying those bristles, look at that. Purely to get right up inside the ferrule, the quick. Really scrubbing it in there till it gets dry. Rinse it off, wipe it off in a cloth. All your mother's best curtains. Really scrub it and get it in there and work it. Do that a few times. Then try to make the shape of the brush. So I go around the edges, for example. I'll use the lid. Get a little bit moist. So try not to let it dry out. Keep it moist at all times if you can. There's a joke there somewhere which I'll leave well alone. You can already see bits coming out of it. Look at the state of that. It's horrible. So just keep rinsing, getting as much dirt as you can out of these brushes. A bit more there. If you think you're fairly happy with how much stuff's coming out, it's stopped coming out, then try to get the shape of the brush again. So how you want your bristles, start working it like that. So this brush before wasn't in a point. Rinsing, 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 clean off any gunk. So already I can see that it is starting to shape up. Focus, but still not quite got a point. But you can still see the green paint right next to the steel of the brush. The state of my fingers. You can tell I'm a mechanic, can you? So keep working it in there. Obviously it's still right up inside, and that's what splays the bristles out, when the paint's right up inside there, forcing them to splay right at the base of the metal bit. Right, so working it, working it, working it, working it, really scrubbing in there, and if needs be, just work in the palm of your hand or something. There's plenty of cleaner there now. Working it, working it. If you're going to scrub it or anything, try to do it on a hard surface if you can, especially when you're trying to get the point. So I'm just working it now, rinsing it off, wiping it off with a cloth. And these bristles are pretty much black when you saw them a minute ago, just before we attacked this thing. And you can work it into a sponge, you can work it in the pot itself. I mean, there's still paint in there. But, you know, the dirt is coming out now, and it's getting lighter. These bristles are getting lighter all the time. I have to say, Citadel brushes even, probably aren't the best brushes in the world anyway. So, if ever my Winsor knew looked like that, I would probably hunt it down and killed. But if they did, they would come up quite nicely. Whereas this is only going to come up at the best, like I got it in the shop, which was okay when you first start. But they don't last very long. They really don't, the Citadel brushes. But for a starting brush, you know, what do you expect? So it's starting to think about getting into a point. The colour is that's better. Is definitely lighter. It really is getting there. And just keep working it, working it, working it, working it. So after another few minutes of cleaning it off, decide to try to remove some of this paint. So just use like your thumbnail or something, try to remove the paint from there. Let's make it look like a half decent brush, shall we? Okay, and then guess what? Like before, swirl it in there. It's nice and clean, fresh stuff. Bit gentler now. I'm not really going to go to town and get really, really deep in there. So probably spend 10 minutes in total with this brush. and 10 minutes isn't a lot of your time. If this brush was £10 like those Winsor & Newtons, there's more expensive brushes out there, obviously. But yeah, I mean, this is only probably what, I don't know, a £5 this brush when you first start out from Games Workshop. But yeah, just, it shouldn't have gotten that state. Obviously, that was a brush when I first started out. But just cleaning it, manipulating it and working it a little bit. You can already see after 5 minutes that brush is a lot better. Better point, definitely a lot lighter. Not nearly as black as it was before, and hardly any paint in the ferrule. Just keep working, keep trying it. And I mean, that's 5 minutes work with an okay brush. Obviously a very expensive brush, it's not going to be a problem. But let's, for fun, let's see if I can do anything with this. So that brush would be pence. Alright, pence when I first had it. What's it worth now? It's less than pence, so a good dollop there. And I'm just really going to work it in the roots of the brush. Really scrub it, really get in. This is just for fun, just to see what this old cheap knackered brush is going to be like after this Masters brush cleaner. So, wiping it in my rag, cleaning it up. So this brush was pretty much black, right? Obviously this is seconds, just to show you what this can do with a knackered brush. But already I can see the amount of dirt that's coming out of this thing. Wiping it off with the rag. Look at that already. Yes, it's still splayed, still horrible, because you've still got the paint in there. But already the tip of the brush has changed drastically even. I'll try and clean the metal off of my thumbnail here. But look how thick the paint is on here. I'm a very bad man. When I first started, I treated brushes like this. All those years ago. I won't tell you where I live, because you'll hunt me down and you'll string me up. But if you can do this with a brush that was probably 20p and spend 10 minutes on it, make it good again, what can you do with some Winsor & Newtons, eh? So Kolinsky sable brushes are one of the best brushes I think you can get for your money. So it's like squirrel hair, I think, or there is badger brushes and stuff. Nice dollop of that. Really work it in and get in that ferrule. Being quite aggressive with this one because I don't care about this brush, but let's just see what we can do. And then I'll wash it out, and scrub it around on my rag, get all the soap out of it if I can. I'm not doing it on the table because I don't want to nudge the table, beat the hell out of it. So that's been a couple minutes. It's already improving. Okay, so complete change of colour now. This thing isn't splayed anymore. It was a fairly flat brush anyway. It's supposed to be like that kind of brush, not like most of our miniature brushes come to an actual point. But look, it's soft, it flexes, it's no longer splayed, or not nearly as badly. Obviously I will still use it for terrain, things like that. No, no way in hell is this getting anywhere near a miniature. Not even as a dry brush. But you know, that's the kind of thing you can do. I'm not saying this is the brush you should use. I'm saying that's how good the Masters brush cleaner is. Your brush will never ever ever be in that state for miniatures. This is the extreme. This is how good the Masters is. Remember how splayed that was? That was terrible. And this is after a few minutes, and this is a 20p brush. So if your brush is, I don't know, you're first starting out, you've got a £5 brush. So this is a couple of minutes with a Games Workshop £5 brush. So that will do. If you want to spend 10 minutes on it cleaning it, great. But the more often you clean, the better the brush it is. This has been sat in a jar for probably 10 years. So that's just to show how good this product is. So I'm not saying this is the brush to use, but this is probably one of the brushes you are likely to have when you first start out. It's good old Citadel Games Workshop brushes. So yes, I totally rate this. If you're serious about the hobby, you know, get a decent set of brushes. The ones from Newton are quite expensive. They will last for God knows how long. I've only had them for maybe a couple of years myself. And believe it or not, I won them in a paint competition, which at the time my paint was in okay, but those brushes really do help. I'm not saying you're going to win any awards if you have those brushes, but you know, they don't hurt. But yeah, you keep your brushes clean all the time, it's not going to be a problem. You shouldn't have to go to this kind of extent to clean brushes. Your brushes should never get in this stage. You know, if they start getting mucky, then clean them. You know, always have clean water if you can. But yeah, I thoroughly recommended this stuff. If it does that to that cheapy nasty brush, think what it can do with a decent brush. Thank you very much for watching, guys.